All right.
Hey! Hello, everyone.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. How are you all doing?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
We're starting off on a good foot here. So as they quickly announced, it sounds like we are still waiting a little bit for maybe the streaming to kick on. Or, hi, streamers.
Hi, stream.
We found you.
Found you. Hi, everybody. Well, thanks to the folks for tuning in via the stream, and thank you all for being here in person. It's fantastic. We'll get our slide up here in a second, but in the meantime, I think we are going to do a quick round of introductions, starting with Quinn at the end. I'd love your name, your pronoun, how people know you, and anything else, fun fact.
Hi. My name is CtrlAltQuin. I'm a Twitch partner, a full-time streamer, and my favorite color is purple. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Aenne Schumann. My pronouns are they, them. I am a game designer, narrative designer, writer, and I have 4 games. You may have heard of them: Arcade Spirit series and the First Bite series. And then when I'm not making video games, I'm also a full-time content creator with Stumped Gamers, which is a multiplayer gaming channel. So 4 of us get together and we play games together, and it's awesome. And then when I'm not doing any of that gaming stuff, I'm also a licensed veterinary nurse and have been for 12 years.
Woo! Hard to follow that.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. My name is Jacob Plick. Hello, everyone. He, him pronouns. I'm the dungeon master for a little show called Duval and Dragons on Twitch. You can find that. Also, co-founder and creative director for a Twitch channel, I guess, called the Amphitheater, and my favorite color is green, so fight me, Quinn. No, I'm just kidding. Fun fact, I beat Super Mario Brothers when I was 3 years old.
Okay, but my favorite color is pink, and I forgot about the fun fact, so that's fine.
Hi, everyone. My name's Eileen, also known as Attack on Wake Up. I'm a full-time streamer and content creator with a focus. My pronouns are she, her, thank you. And I focus on queer narratives and fighting games and a whole lot of other stuff I like talking about. And my favorite color is red, because I am angry. All the time.
Hello, everyone. I am Radiant G. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am the producer on 2 upcoming indie games. One is called Ink Inside, which is a dodgeball adventure game based on Saturday morning cartoons. And the other one is Himbo Hunter, which is a queer narrative game. Yeah, all right. And I'm also the site lead of a indie games journalism website called Press Space to Jump. And I also just wanted to kick off by saying Free Palestine.
Hell yeah. Yes.
Is that your fun fact?
Oh, and my favorite color is pastel pink.
Ooh. Yeah, Free Palestine 100%. I'm Anya. I will be your moderator for this. Can we say evening? What time is it?
Evening somewhere.
It's evening somewhere.
Maybe even here.
I use she, her pronouns. I am a freelance games consultant. I have been in the games industry 16 years. I've done too much. I've seen too much, and yet I continue to be here. I worked for a little website called addictinggames.com for a number of years, so I'm always happy to amazing, yay. That one always gets applauses, and then I follow that up with, and then I was the director of games at Kickstarter, and people are like, "Well, that's cool." So I worked at Kickstarter. I worked at a company called BackerKit. I got tired of working for people that I just got tired of working for people. So I went freelance about 5 months ago. I do games consulting. I do crowdfunding consulting. I just do a lot of stuff. I'm happy to chat with people. And when I'm not doing game stuff, I'm a professional musician in New York City. I play the saxophone, and my fun fact is I love avocado so much I have an avocado tattoo.
Yay.
Amazing. Thank you all again for being here. We have a bunch of questions for our panelists. We might get to Q&A. We'll see how things go. If not, We'll be out in the hall after at 6:30. We're going to make sure we get out of here so that PAX can flip the room for the next panel. Super respect all of the time that is there, but we are happy to chat with you after. So the first question that I have, and let's just go down the line, starting with Quinn, if that's cool with y'all. What does being a neurodivergent gamer mean to you?
Well, for me, it's just like, it's who I am. I don't really think about it often. Like, I'm just going, especially as a streamer, I like think about it when I'm having a hard time, but sharing my experience live with my audience is something I always do. Like, I don't like the way this looks, or it doesn't feel good to me. And gaming as my full-time job has like really opened up my eyes to how many things aren't built or made for me. So I take that responsibility upon myself, like no one forces me to do it, to share my experience with others.
Yeah, for me, I'm a recently diagnosed ADHD like 3 years ago, so that's still really new to me. So for me, being a neurodivergent gamer is more about like growing and sort of understanding myself still. There's so many different aspects of my ADHD that I'm now like, oh, this makes sense. But there's so many other things that I'm still like, through talking with other neurodivergent gamers, understanding about myself. And yeah, once again, it's just being who you are and how you can also relate to your audience as a game developer or as a streamer.
And I kind of come from the opposite end, where I got diagnosed with ADHD when I was 11 years old. So this is something that I've always, or I guess I don't say always struggled, but like this has just been, to Quinn's point, like who I am, and then sort of understanding, oh, like these struggles that I have, you know, growing up in my want and need to try to connect with people through video games. It also helps that I'm a big extrovert, but is that like, oh, you can ask me, so why is Chrono Trigger your favorite video game of all time? And then you started the conversation at 4 o'clock, and it's now 11 p.m. and I haven't stopped talking. Have I even stopped breathing? Perhaps, who even knows? And that not only that isn't like an embarrassment or it's celebrated because it is who we are. Like I feel already connected with all the people in this room because we have something in common. It is something that we love.
I did that last night. I was like in the Westin Hotel lobby, and then all of a sudden my best friend Jazz was like, it's midnight. And I was like, oh my God, what happened?
What happened? I teleported.
For me, gaming is I call it like the interface I used to make connections with people. I struggle a lot with social anxiety and a whole lot of other stuff. But gaming has always been there, and the FGC has always been there for me to, shouts out to Cincinnati Arcade Legacy, to kind of express myself and forge bonds with people that otherwise I wouldn't. As someone with autism and ADHD, it's just been my constant venue of support.
For me, I feel like one of the things that really speaks to me as being a neurodivergent gamer is playing games how I want to play games. I feel like there's this pressure when you're playing games, being like, oh, well, you should be playing at least on normal or hard mode or honor mode, and I'm like, well, I want to play on easy a lot of the time, but it also doesn't mean that I'm not pushing myself. Like I might be playing on easy, but at the same time, I might be like, well, how fast can I get all of these items, and like pushing myself on things that like won't give me any points in the game, but bring me joy when I'm playing.
I think what I'm hearing in a lot of those answers is a sense of community, a sense of acceptance, and to a certain degree, a little bit of like escapism, but not in a like troubling way, but just sort of allowing yourself to find the space to be able to kind of like break away from like day-to-day sort of responsibilities and have the ability to just be you in a space where there's no judgment. Cool. What are some games that have great accessibility features? I'm going to start with you, Radiant, on this one.
All right. So, shout out to Apex Mobile because Apex Legends Mobile got sunset. It's not running anymore, but it had one of the greatest features that I had seen on a shooter game. It had a really intuitive footstep system on the screen. So if there were people near you, you could see it on the screen depending on where the direction was. And if you have trouble with focus or if you have trouble with hearing, like it was just so intuitive. And I was so much better at playing it on mobile than I am on PC, even though I love it on PC as well, just because it had that one feature. That one feature made a huge difference to me, and it stuck with me even though the game isn't around anymore.
So the Tekken series has always had audio cues, separate audio cues per button while learning combinations. That has been the primary way I've learned fighting games, and when they don't have it, I like kind of fall apart. So that is the one that I always think of as audio cues. Street Fighter 6 has audio cues for distance near you, so it'll make like a different beep if someone's mid-range or if someone's far range. And that has helped me kind of better get all the information in the game.
So one that is really popularly celebrated is a game like Last of Us 2, just overarching all over the place in ways that I didn't even think you could do in video games. There's a quick shout out to that. But one particular feature that really impacted me was I was playing Spider-Man by Insomniac Games, and I hate puzzles with like violence, and I'm talking about the puzzles that are like, you can't exit this room until you complete these 4 blocks. That doesn't make any sense. And like, there's a particular puzzle that you do, and I was sitting there just really like, I just want to like go back out and like swing and do Spider-Man stuff. And I literally saw a prompt in the bottom right of like, you can skip that. And I was just like, I could skip the thing that I don't find fun and have more fun? You can do that in video games? Mm-hmm. Shocking. I was blown away by that.
For me, there is a company down on the show floor, Whitethorn Games. They have a heavy focus on accessibility, and I've loved all of the indie games that they have published and made. And I just think it's great because they recently had like I'm like, what season is it? It's a winter show of all the upcoming games. And most of that show was actually just talking about accessibility within the games that they're showing. Mm-hmm. So I always look to Whitethorn for what are they doing in the accessibility options. And as a game developer, it's one of the first things that I also think about when I'm making a game. Like, okay, what do we need to create this game? What are the accessibility features that we're going to put in this game?
I also just want to shout out Britt Dye, their Chief Accessibility Officer, is absolutely amazing, and a friend of mine does amazing work there.
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about Fortnite. When you were talking about, Radiant was talking about the audio cues in Apex. Fortnite has that, and when they added that, as someone who's like hard of hearing, it has helped me so much. And wanting to like get into battle royales and be more competitive and like compete with other folks and do like a competitive Fortnite, it's been amazing. Like it really changed my life.
I am genuinely embarrassed by the amount of hours I have put into Fortnite. Like truly, it is disturbing. One thing I didn't hear in these answers, which is interesting, is color.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically, keeping in mind folks that are colorblind, which is weirdly a thing that I used to talk about. I think about a lot for addicting games. I don't know why, but for some reason in the Flash world, you're like, this is not, especially for puzzles. Puzzle games and color accessibility is like, it's just like extremely tied hand in hand. So if any of you are game designers, think about the accessibility features of your game and making it as accessible to as many people.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a feature piece about like color blindness and puzzles a while back on online.
It's surprisingly something that people forget about a lot. So I think it's becoming a much more big topic of conversation, which is awesome. Are there any video games that were absolutely inaccessible to you?
I'm so sorry, Soulsborne fans. You were talking about easy mode and stuff, right, earlier. I tried so hard. I played, Demon Souls, not for me. Bloodborne's a little easier. It's still not for me. Actually, like, legitimately understanding that took me a long time to recognize that it's okay for something not to be specifically, it's just not made for me, and that's that's all right. You know, it's not the end of the world. But I'll certainly watch your playthrough on YouTube.
For me, it's any game that's like first person that the camera moves too fast. Like my brain cannot keep up with that, and then I end up getting very, very sick and have to like sit down. So any game that you can't change the sensitivity on your mouse or your controller, can't play.
For me, it's StarCraft.
Oh, wow.
I can't do it. I've tried so hard to, like, I want to play that. I've tried so many times. I've been trying to learn, but it just makes me nauseous. And another one for me is Borderlands. Speaking of color and like line work, and I love the story. Like, I will listen to playthroughs of it, but I can't play it myself, and it's so frustrating. It always makes me sick.
Is there one that, like, when you were younger, like, that was accessible to you, and then as you've gotten older, is no longer accessible to you? Like, one that comes to mind to me is Mega Man, which is, like, very, like, pattern-oriented, right? But, like, because, of course, when you're 11, you've got, you know, from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock, you can spend time on one level and become a absolute expert on it. But now that you're an adult and you have bills to pay and you don't have time to play Mega Man.
For me, like answering that one probably would be like Kirby Tilt and Tumble. My wrists don't
Sure.
work like that no more.
A game that a genre I've always struggled with is like grand strategy or RTS. It's like information overload when I see the amount of text on screen and every giving, like when I click on a faction or something and I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, and for me, I also agree with that, but the game I had in mind is actually a mobile game called Love Nikki. It's like a fashion game, and so many people had recommended it to me because I love fashion games. And when I opened it up, just all the menus were so cluttered, and I have dyslexia, and I just could not read anything in that game. I tried playing it for like almost an hour, and I was like, I can't, none of this reads to me. I'm sorry, I just deleted it.
I had actually a similar experience. I can't read maps. Like, whatever you all see, I just don't see it. And I love Dragon Age. I love Dragon Age. Dragon Age is one of my favorite games, but I definitely for a full hour just kept walking in place. Because I was like, I can't figure out where I'm going. It was so frustrating. I also cannot play VR games.
Yeah.
Me neither.
No.
Like, it's not gonna happen. I figured out, nope. What did I do? I am bad at internet and mouse. Oh,
Is that
okay.
what you wanted?
Yeah, I wanted to go to the next slide, but I kept rolling the wrong way.
This one.
Oh. Okay, wow, I just need pen and paper. Has your neurodivergence ever helped you be better at playing a game?
I love competitive games, so yes, because I can hyper-focus and hyper-fixate on what I'm doing. And some of the people that watch us do know we play a game called Rounds, which is competitive. And I just like get in the zone. And if anyone tries to talk to me, I'm super boring because I'm just so fixated on winning that I'm like, no one talk to me. And yeah, it helps.
I play WoW a lot. My guild might disagree, but I'm a really good healer. And I don't use any add-ons for healing. And I can keep raids alive. I'm a holy priest. And, you know, everyone survives. It's like, did you die? I feel like me just focusing on my rotation has helped me a bunch, like just hyper fixating on what I'm supposed to do and what buttons I'm supposed to click.
That's me with Final Fantasy XIV. I learned Reaper. I love Reaper so much. I learned Reaper by making like a little song that's like, okay, give it into Gallows, into this, into that, and my neurodivergence super helped me lock in on that class, and that's like the only class I can play now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say for me, it definitely helped me with Apex Legends because I may not be the best like at aiming, gun, and shoot, but I know everything there is to know about that game. I know every inch of every map. I know like every upgrade. I know every gun. I like to pick apart games if I really like them. So like I will look at the back end, I will look at all the assets. Like I know way too much about this game, and it does help me play it.
It's funny. I was looking at this question and kind of was thinking about what Quinn said earlier around like this is like who I am, and then I thought, well, it's probably a bit odd that you've got pretty much like Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening memorized from like 0 to 100. And again, like, wait a minute, Jacob, you say you don't like puzzles. Well, if you remember what the solve is, it doesn't matter. And that's a game I played in 1994. And then, you know, when the Switch one came out and I beat it in like one day, and I was like, that's probably not how I was supposed to do that, but it happened.
It sounds like a lot of this is repetition.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there is a tie between just repetition with the neurodivergence brain and gaming specifically, right? Like, if I keep doing this over and over and over again, repetition I think might come a little bit easier, especially to folks that have ADHD, just because that repetition gets into your brain so much quicker. I find with Stardew Valley, because I really like to clean in my day-to-day life, and I really like to keep things neat and organized, I always know what's in everything that's in the game. Like,
Amazing.
hard stop, yeah. I was like, I'm really good at grocery shopping. Okay, so for our devs on the panel, has your neurodivergence ever helped you be better at making a game?
Absolutely, yes. I wrote these questions, so. Yeah, so being dyslexic can sometimes be frustrating when you're playing a game and it's not accessible to you, but when you're making a game, you have like built-in QA at the dev level for being accessible to people to be able to read. Being able to look at fonts, being able to look at if you have, you know, characters in a game, like there was a time that we had an artist on one of our games that was like, oh, we sort of like made our own alien alphabet. Can you tell me if any of these are too similar? And like I went through it, I was like, yeah, that one and that one and that one and that one. Like we changed it as we were going to make it more accessible and honestly just better for anyone, whether they're dyslexic or not. So yeah, I feel like that's the main thing that's really helped me is like being able to have that eye to be like, oh, like nobody's going to be able to read that font. We love a sans serif font, no tails for us.
Yeah, and I think being a dev too with neurodivergence, you just think about those things. So you're like, how do I make this more accessible, not only to those that also have are also neurodivergence, but then you just think about other accessibility options of even things and disabilities that you don't have. So in that aspect, it's made me think about my games from the get-go, like what can I do to make my game as playable as possible to everyone as possible. And also as a writer, I can once again hyper-focus and be like, all right, we're getting this scene done, and then I'll be like, it's midnight, what happened? But hey, I got all of this done, and it's great.
Look at it.
Yeah.
And you
Look at my
never
shiny-
know like how an accessibility feature is going to help someone because like, for example, I'm not colorblind, but when I used to play Overwatch a lot, I would get too overstimulated if I played it too long because it was so bright. And there was one of the colorblind settings was just sort of like more pastel and faded colors, and I could play so much longer on that. So like, use accessibility settings even if you don't think you need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every game should start with subtitles on. I'm just saying it now.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and make them
Please.
bigger. AAA, hear me. Make your subtitles bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger, and please work on the kerning. I'm begging you.
It's always shocking to me when people like don't watch Netflix without the subtitles. I'm just like, how do you know what
Yeah.
anyone is saying? Like, I can't hear it.
Also, one of the sorry, I'm gonna go on a tangent.
No, you're fine.
Baldur's
On a
Gate.
neurodivergent
I
panel?
know, right? What are the chances of that happening? I thought Baldur's Gate 3 did a really good job with the subtitles.
Yep.
Because you could change how big they were, you could change the font, you could change the color, and I really appreciated that because for me it was like fun. Oh, I got to customize my own text, but it also is super helpful.
Yeah, and in one of the most recent patches, they made the font in the books bigger. So that was really awesome.
That's
too.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. I love that. Oh gosh, such a great game. This is a fun one. If you have a hyperfixation or special interest game, what is it and why?
So welcome to my Chrono Trigger panel. No, I have 2 Chrono Trigger tattoos. This Chrono Trigger came around in my life right around because I didn't play it right when it came out. This was in the age of like playing video games via emulation because there was no other accessible way to play them. This was before it came out on the PS1 or the Nintendo DS or PC. Now it's everywhere, and I just couldn't help but love the fact that like this incredible narrative with these incredible characters survived time travel, which if you've ever written anything and you've added time travel to it, it's really difficult. Also, I made the incredible mistake of adding time travel to my Dungeons and Dragons game, and that I learned a lot about writing and narrative there. When your party can go, we're in 1021 AD now. No, we're in 65 million BC now. Great, and yeah, it's just an outstanding game, and I will talk about it forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
A special game to me. I hate puzzles. But there was this game called Maquette by Annapurna Interactive. Has anyone ever heard of it? Mm-hmm. I got so hyper fixated on that game, and my community was so invested when I was streaming it, and like people would come and voice and help me work out the puzzles, and I beat it. And it was like such an emotional thing for me.
It's so exciting.
That was like the first time I ever really beat a puzzle game that was really hard for me. And I listened to the soundtrack all the time. It's been like 5 years. So that's something really special to me.
Yeah, so I've talked enough about Apex Legends tonight. So I'm going to choose my other hyperfixation, which is Baldur's Gate 3.
Woo!
Yes.
Yeah.
How many hours?
Ooh, not as bad. Listen, not as bad as Apex. I have over 3,000 hours on Apex. But I've really been enjoying it. I've been taking my time with it, playing quite a few different files with different people. I did finally beat it for the first time in January. That was a lot of fun. Love Halcyon.
Shout out.
Listen, that's my man. Also love Lord Edward Gortash. He's my evil man, like little angel and devil on my shoulder.
Sure.
Alvin Gortash. I love the game. I've really enjoyed being able to create my characters. I've made so many different characters and just expressed myself in so many different ways. I'll talk about that more on tomorrow's panel. But you should come tomorrow. It's 4 o'clock. We're going to be talking about being gay and playing video games. So
Yes, a great combination.
My hyperfixation, I love factions, I love proper nouns, I love making my little conspiracy boards. And no game scratches that itch better than the Like a Dragon series.
Oh my God, I was going to talk about that.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to talk. Ichiban Kasuga is my everything. Every time a new family, like a new dynamic intro happens and a big title card, I'm like, okay, I gotta add this character to my book. What's their relationship to the Kiryu? What's their relationship to all of these people? And
This is giving Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. I was like, does anyone know about the Yakuza? Here's how special this game is to me. I recently got back from Japan, which was super fun. It was amazing. And in Yakuza and Like a Dragon, of course, most of it is in Japan. So you visit all these, you visit Kyoto and you go to Tokyo and you see all these things. And then being in actual Japan and seeing these things that are so down to every single detail in the game, I cried. And this was in Osaka, and it was so overly stimulating because there was a ton of people, there were flashing lights, there was neon everywhere. But here I was on the Osaka Bridge and was like, I have been here. I have been to Sotenbori in Yakuza, and I just lost it. I was just I teared up and I was like, this means so much to me.
I can so relate to that because I went to Japan in 2018, and this was after spending a lot of hours with a unfortunately not as well-known video game called The World Ends With You. Came out on the Nintendo DS. Big fan of that game. Great soundtrack. And Persona 5 was right around that time too. And I'm literally walking through Shibuya Crossing, like with the soundtrack in my earbuds, and I just started crying, just crying. Actually, I just realized too, with Persona 5 specifically, has anyone ever had like a game delay like impact them like negatively emotionally? When Persona 5 was originally supposed to come out in the US, it was supposed to come out on Valentine's Day, and I had like all these plans, and then like it got delayed. Speaking of Osaka, there was a streamer by the name of Crispy Kaiser that did a live translation of the video game. So I was just like, I'm not waiting. You play, I watch, and I just sat there. It like took like 400 hours. Like this is a 130-hour game. That's because he's live translating it, and I was just like, this is great.
Yeah. I also find like with hyperfixation is like, besides like my big series like Yakuza or Final Fantasy, I get really obsessed with like smaller games for like 6 months at a time, and then I forget it exists for a long time, and then I move on. Does anyone else do that?
Yeah, Vampire
yeah.
Survivors.
Okay.
Yes.
Like right now, it's Sons of the Forest. Jazz and I have been playing it. So good.
My FF14 hits me in waves like that, where I'm like, I do 6 months of content, and then I sleep.
What's that? Sleep.
Now I sleep.
Yeah. My partner is obsessed with Yakuza, so much so that his side gig is he's a dog walker and a pet caretaker, and I get 5 to 7 minute voice memos of the plot.
Oh my God, yes.
And he's like, I'm never going to stream it, but I will send you 5 to 7 minutes. Do you know how long 5 to 7 minutes is? It's very long. And he's like talking. It's adorable. The two games that I'm super hyper fixated on myself, just to shoehorn myself into this panel.
Do it.
Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks really good.
I just love it. And this is so bad. Valheim. But specifically because I will intentionally exhaust myself to rest in the game because I don't rest in my real life. Like, I probably need to
It
unpack
counts,
that.
sure.
Yeah. So I'll just like sit there and like that's literally my time to rest in my real life because I have to rest in the game. I was like, great, good job. Is there a neurodivergent game character, canon or coded, you feel represented by?
I feel like the Yakuza series people will understand. Ichiban?
I was going to say Ichiban Kasuga. Okay, can we share this one?
Yeah, go for it.
So Ichiban relates everything in his life to JRPGs because he's a gamer and he loves Dragon Quest. And I do that. That's how I interact with people. Like his kindness level goes up, and I'm like, that's how I function socially. Like Ichiban means so much to me.
So much. And just like how he interacts with his friends.
Yeah.
And like we always, I think, joke in the community that he's like a puppy dog or like a lab because he's just so loyal. But like he'll just ping pong around the whole city, and you're like, I've been here. I know this.
I think, speaking of Persona 5, I'd say Ryuji. He's an absolute fool, but I feel so connected to him in a way that he's just loud and brash and doesn't earn it, and that sounds a lot like me, which is ironic considering I'm loud and brash and on a panel talking about neurodivergency stuff. But it's and the struggles that he goes throughout that game really super resonate with me, and just goals that drive him. Something as simple as just trying to be on a track and field team is just this and everyone can resonate with trying to be successful at something and maybe it not going so well, and then what happens after that within your control.
I'm going to bring it back to Apex Legends again. There's a character on there called Watson, and she is canonically autistic, and I really appreciate and relate to the way that she interacts and feels emotions with inanimate objects. Whenever she places down her fences, she'll assign each fence a personality. She likes to have all of these plushies of the Loch Ness Monster, Nessie, and that's her thing. And she'll boop them on the nose and just take care of them. And she's just so cute. And I'm like, oh, this is how I take care of my stuff. As if they had a soul.
I'm actually going to pass because I'm like overthinking it. Like,
No worries.
My brain is just like, oh my gosh, who?
Is there
so
any
many.
form of pop culture, like not necessarily video games, but just any like a movie, a TV show?
There's so much. There's so much. So we were talking about Pokemon earlier before the panel started, and I have a Psyduck tattoo because I'm like obsessed with Psyduck ever since I was a kid, and I felt like I just related heavily to Psyduck always being confused by like the people around him and the trainers, and I don't know, my head went there. Psyduck.
Listen,
Not
my
excited.
favorite is Slowpoke, so I see.
Yo, shout out to Slowpoke.
I have a Morticia Addams tattoo, so I feel like I kind of feel you there. And I like present as Morticia Addams, but like I am Suki from Avatar.
Nice.
Like deep, that is who I am at my core. And the first time I watched Avatar, The Last Airbender, I was like, oh no, I don't like that I'm relating to Suki. Also, like in my brain, I'm also Appa.
Oh my gosh.
Like I just kind of want to float around and like eat and just kind of grunt at people. Like, just don't talk to me. Let me eat in peace.
Listen, in my soul, I'm Eeyore. So
I think Radiant will also. Oh, I'm so
Go
sorry.
ahead. No,
you
I
go.
was just gonna say. Then I think I'm Kanga in the Pooh universe.
yes, universe as well.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think Radiant can also vibe with this, but as game developers, obviously we try and put in very proper people and representation
Yep.
of neurodivergence within our own characters too.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for more characters, just look for those devs that are neurodivergent and you'll be able to find some good representation.
I'm really excited for some of our games that are going to be coming out. So in that retrospect.
I was gonna say. I feel like. And of course, the name of the game is escaping me. It's extremely famous. I think it's a Ubisoft game. It's a narrative game. But the way representation is in those games, oh my gosh, it's based in Seattle.
Watch Dogs?
No, it's a narrative game.
Narrative
ba-
game based in Seattle.
Life is Strange, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
I should have known
I feel like Life is
Great
Strange.
game.
Yeah, I was like, for some reason, I had to talk about A Way Out on a panel yesterday, and my brain was like, it's not A Way Out. That's definitely not it. My brain just like started short-circuiting. But I feel like the explanation of neurodivergency and making things very normalized in Life is Strange is like very beautifully done in a very like tactful, kind way. So.
+1, yeah.
What are some accessibility features you want to see in the games that you play?
Please, sans serif fonts, no tails. I'm looking at you, fantasy devs. Come on now. I know, listen, I know by everything else in the game that we are in a world of kings, dragons, and dungeons or whatever. I don't need the tails on, I promise you, I don't. I need to be able to read about the world that we're in. If you want to have the fancy option, fine, but also have an option that is not fancy, that anyone who needs to read it that way can just sit down and read the game. Thank you.
I think that like every game should start with subtitles. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like it's just automatic, and if you want to turn them off, turn them off. I feel like things should start with common accessibility features like that, and like vision issue, like things that I have, like how I have things on my screen and the brightness, like it just start with subtitles so I can find those easier.
Yeah, and to go along with that too, I've seen it in a couple games that we've played recently, but the game actually started out with like, here are the accessibility options before you even start the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you can go through those and then you can go into whatever cutscene is happening and be like, oh, okay. Instead of being like, well, I'm sorry, like everybody who's watching this, I can't do anything until I get through this cutscene to change anything.
Yeah, and you have to watch it again.
Yep.
And yeah.
I don't remember which Sony game it was, but I know one of them had the God of War has the hold QTEs instead of mash. Love those.
Yes.
Another one, I don't remember what game it was. They just were like, you can just watch it, and I would please.
Yeah, like I think kind of even like on the opposite end, like I would love, because you know the term like boss rush, where you run through like a bunch of like boss battles. Like I would love a way to play my like favorite like RPGs again, but just do specific like subsections. What's like almost like chapters, but specifically like I want to do just this boss fight right now. Like, remember how like with Grand Theft Auto, like in many cases, no one like really ever did the story. We just, you know, I got like 2 hours to kill. Let's just blow some shit up. I kind of want to do that, but like fighting like Sephiroth again, specifically in this particular portion of the game would be awesome. That was loud.
I also want to say every option is an accessibility option.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
Great point.
if you're like, well, I don't use accessibility features. If you have ever adjusted your mouse sensitivity, you've used accessibility
Right.
features.
Invert. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I need maps to be easier to read. Truly, like I need to be told I'm going the right way.
Yes. 100%.
You know, like I hate, and even just in like real life, like I hate when people are like, "Yeah, just go north." I'm like,
What's
"What?
north?
What is that?
Where
mean?
is it?
What compass am I using? I don't have a pocket watch."
Right.
the mythical land of Santa Claus.
Exactly. I can't do that. Like somebody was even getting here at PAX, like someone was trying to explain to me like, oh, it's like land, sea, and air or something like that. And like trying to explain to me how the theaters are set up. And I was like, you said a lot of words and I understood some of them. But like I need to be told like landmarks. Landmarks are how I know, and specifically in my brain, especially if I like drive, which is pretty rare because I live in New York. I'll be like, oh, it's the third McDonald's that's next to the. You know, like, to me, that makes sense. That is way too specific, but that's like I need something like that for maps.
I agree with that so much because I can get around pretty well in real life, but like you put me somewhere in a world, I turn around, I'm like, where am I? What did I just do? And I'll get so mixed up. So any game that has like a little trail that you can follow to the next quest, thank you.
I like how Assassin's Creed does that.
Yeah.
Where it's like if you're like clomping and you can hear stuff that's close to you, like that's really helpful. Or like the games that'll be like you're going this way. Fortnite is a great example of that, where it's like I mean you have to kind of like collect those items that'll tell you like this is where the vault is, and they give you those like lines that tell you like, oh, that's so helpful for my brain. I'm like, I'm going the right way. This is great. I don't know how I learned how to drive without a phone. I
learned how to drive via like a video game, so like I can totally relate.
I was talking to a friend about this recently. I had, and I'm not even kidding you, 20 printouts of MapQuest under the seat of my car, like under my, just because I was like, these are the 20 places that I go, and I know how to get there through these 20 different.
You should have that too.
maps.
Just printouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. We're dating ourselves. Yeah. Any advice to developers who want to make their games more accessible?
Start that from the beginning. Like it should not ever be an afterthought. It should be part of the very beginning when you have a concept of the game and you want to make a game. That just, like, for me, it's part of how we start the game. We're like, okay, this is how we're going to do the narrative. These are different things that we're going to add in to our color scheme to make it more accessible. Like, that just needs to be from the get-go. Also, do not put accessibility behind paywalls.
Yes.
It will not work out for you, ever.
You'll have a bad time.
And it's not great. I don't like it. It makes me upset.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm not a dev, but I definitely think it's important to think about the people, think about everyone when you're making your game. And accessibility shouldn't be an afterthought at all.
Yeah, to sort of piggyback off that, you know, creating in a vacuum is never a good idea. On top of the fact that you're missing out on just the beauty of things like collaboration, you got to keep in mind that you're not making something for yourself. It is I understand it is your baby, it's something you're really proud of, but you're making it for other people. And if you start with that mindset, that typically triggers what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think for me, the best advice I can give is hire disabled people on your team. Like, there's no one who knows better than us, and there's no one who's going to catch errors better than us. There's no one who's going to create systems better than us in terms of being accessible to people like us. You know, the more diverse that your team is, the more you're going to be able to make a game that can be played by more people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, just to add on to that, like, no matter how many options you have for accessibility, the sad truth is you're not going to be able to incorporate all of them for everyone because people are so different, right?
Yeah.
So don't feel disheartened if, you know, you can't include everybody because that is an unrealistic goal. But by hiring sensitivity people, by planning it from the beginning, you're going to get as many people as possible.
Yep.
And then what you aren't able to include in that game, you can just take that information and then use it in your next game.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
or if you're able to update your game,
Yeah.
then you can update it. But like take all that information that you've learned and just make your next game that much more accessible.
Just to add to that too, when you're playtesting your game, make sure that you have a very diverse set of playtesters.
Yes.
That's a thing I think people forget to do.
And if you're invited to a playtest group and you notice that everyone there looks like you, drop out and tell the people that run it
Yep.
to get more diverse people.
Super important, yeah.
I was-
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just going to add, yeah, please just talk to us. Just talk to us to learn and yeah, just hire us and talk to us.
I love this question. Any advice, because I think this will resonate with our audience, any advice to neurodivergent folks who new to or aspiring to be in the industry?
As a content creator, I would say, I know like social anxiety and it's really hard. The internet has been like a huge tool for me to talk about things that I would like to see in games. Like I'm very loud on the internet about so many aspects of representation, whether it's like for neurodivergency or for gender and like trans individuals or like just for Black people in general, right? Like there's a lot of things that I just go and talk about. I would inspire or I would say to folks like, if you don't see yourself represented somewhere, be loud on the internet. The internet is a cool tool sometimes.
I think for kind of ties back to what we were talking a little bit about earlier is that like you specifically have a very unique story that is just waiting to be told. Part of the reason why we're all up here is at some point in our lives we decided to say whatever like what I'm excited about, I want to tell to people, whether that's via the avenue of content creation, like Quinn and I, or development work, or anything like that. Like there's someone that was at our asexuality panel at PAX Unplugged that's making specifically a game tied specifically for ace people, which is something I never thought would ever like be created. But they had the wherewithal to say, I've got a really cool story to tell, and I should tell it. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find an audience for that. Yeah, it might start out with 2 people, but that 2 people can quickly become a room full of people like this, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you're trying to get into an industry or you want to start something that you don't have not a lot of knowledge of, it can be very overwhelming. I know I get very overwhelmed very quickly, but just know that there are people out there that have already done a lot of the work on YouTube, on Google, that'd be like, hey, this is how I want to be a writer. Like, go out and like watch a YouTube video. That's the easiest way for me to access information and not be overwhelmed. Like, how did this person do it? There's so many resources out there too, to research whatever you want in terms of where you want to go in this industry.
Yeah, I would say 2 major things, summed up by 2 words, both community and boundaries. When it comes to community, like meet people who are in the industry or aspiring to be in the industry as well, who are like you, are also neurodivergent, are also disabled, and maybe find a mentor. And then in terms of boundaries, like our brains work differently. sometimes people may expect things of you or try to take advantage of you when you're first coming into the industry, and being able to put down your foot and say, like, no, like, I have this disability, I won't be able to work at that pace. Like, I don't want to work at that pace. Like, putting your foot down and making sure that you're not doing anything to get in the door, and you're respecting your health and your boundaries, both like in terms of business and in terms of your personal boundaries.
It's super corny, but just don't stop trying. The only reason I'm up here is because I just hung out with people who did things I want to do. So, yeah, just don't stop trying.
I love that these answers are all rooted in sort of the like business side of things. I would encourage folks to play as many different characters as you can in your favorite game too. I think that we have a tendency to like create a character based on, you know, especially in like things like D&D, right? Like
For sure.
go a little bit, seek outside of yourself a little bit and try to play a character that is very different than what your identifying features are, because I think that's extremely important in terms of making sure that you are creating diverse characters and diverse stories and diverse experiences in your game.
And you might even learn something about yourself along the way.
Yeah.
I don't have that neurodivergence. I'm just playing a character. Oh.
Yep. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Who's been at a table who's watched somebody learn about themselves? It's kind of a beautiful experience.
For sure.
So we have about 10 minutes to do Q&A. There's 2 microphones right here. There's one over here and one over here. If folks would like to step up to the mic.
And if you're not able to get out of your seat, we can also bring the mic to you.
I would love your name and your question.
Hi, my name's Patrick. I'm also neurodivergent myself, though. Like, I play. Sometimes I can't even focus on what game I'm playing, though. Maybe because like I just want to take a break, or if there's too many dialogue options. Kind of like a Disco Elysium, though. The detective represents me, like, and I was just wondering how do you find the time when you can play a game and just like stay focused in that world of the game?
I think what I'm hearing in the question is focusing your time in the game and staying on task in the game. Would
Yes.
that be an accurate statement?
I
Cool.
think so, yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
So this might be the opposite of what you personally want, but as someone who likes to multitask, I've gotten into, I don't know if it's a bad habit or a good habit, but I will, if I'm playing a game with like queues or downtime, I actually play a mobile game and a PC game at the same time, because like I like to have my brain stimulated in multiple ways, and I find myself being able to play like a PC game longer if I have something else that I can sort of just like stop playing them for a little bit and like do something else that's maybe a little more fast paced and then get back to it. So that's something that I usually do.
All right, thank you so much, and also Free Palestine.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Also, in that regard, I just wanted to add on that it's okay to take a break. Like, if
Yes.
you're not...
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because, like, sometimes I'll be wanting to play a game that I love, and I'll be like, I can't focus, I'm not feeling it. Like,
Yeah.
just step away and do something else.
Yeah,
Like
you
open
literally
it
hit the
up
go
and just
button.
like stare at the screen.
Yeah, you hit the go button, and then you just like, in 2 minutes in, you're like, nope.
Yeah,
Just
doesn't
riding the
happen.
wave is also okay,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and like also like if you reach a point in a story that you're like, oh, that was heavy, I need to step away. Step
Please take
away.
care of yourself.
Please take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're gonna bounce back from mic to mic. That way we can get a good, not diverse. Sorry, a good. We're not just like focusing on one mic. So please, your name and your question.
Hi, I'm Jessica, I just want to say that I love Baldur's Gate 3.
Hell yeah.
And even there's a character in the game that I feel like I can relate with being autistic, but there's I want to know if those of you who played the game, your thoughts. There's this actually before I left for PAX, I was stuck on this puzzle, and at the end of Act 2, and it's a brain puzzle, and I was looking up, and people were saying how, like, if they were colorblind, like, they couldn't see the colors in the puzzle, and for those of you who played the game, what are your thoughts about that puzzle and if it frustrated you?
Are you talking about the Gauntlet of Shar?
No, when you're in the
Sure.
and it's like a brain puzzle where you have to connect the different neural
I know
nodes.
the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
One point is it's completely optional. So
Yeah.
I got very frustrated and I completely skipped it. And
Yeah, I think I might have skipped that as well.
Yeah, I don't feel a bit bad about it either.
I love puzzles. I'm the opposite. And I actually really felt very stimulated by that puzzle.
Oh yeah,
because
that's awesome.
for me, it was challenging enough, but not like hard enough that I was like, I need a guide, right? Like, and also, once again, advice, like, if you ever need to use a guide, I do it all the time. Like, I don't have time
I feel
to
bad
suffer.
about that.
I had to look it up on YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. I do it all the
Guides are
time.
so good.
Constantly, yeah.
Guides are great, and I don't just say that as someone who writes them.
Thank you, Jessica. Hi.
Hi, I'm Keats.
Hi.
It's so funny because it's literally one of the things I was going to say. It's just like I'm the type of player who I'm sure like there are puzzle games I've gone to specifically, but pretty much any game where there are puzzle components, for me personally, I tend to try it for about 10 minutes and then I say to myself, or I think to myself, I'm like, is this going to be worth the reward of getting it complete? Because maybe for combat that speaks to me, but for puzzles specifically, it'll just be like, oh, you just missed this one like little checkbox, and it's like, oh, okay, I feel dumb, and also like, what was the point of putting myself through all this,
100%.
all this pain? So, but then that also comes with a lot of like, just sort of like on a social level. It's just like if you're with someone playing that game or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, I just looked up the answer. I'm currently with my girlfriend. I'm playing Undertale, and there's one character, Muffet, who's kind of confusing to beat, and I was just like, I looked it up after I couldn't do it for 10 minutes, and she's like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? So there's a lot of that when it comes to that kind of stuff. But I was going to say one of the things that really irritated me, because there's some games that can push it too far, is camera shake.
Sure.
Specifically for me, like I really wanted to play, I haven't played any Kojima games because I tried to play Metal Gear 5, and it's insanely shaky, and there's like, I just like feel like the frustration of like, I want to play this game so badly, but things get in the way.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of what you're saying is the accessibility of something that I also want to talk about that we haven't discussed is specifically things like epilepsy and the triggering.
I'm epileptic.
Yeah, so like the triggering in games and just sort of keeping that in mind.
Oh, I have a little rant here. So there's a mobile game that I really, really like, and the whole entire game itself is accessible. But one of the ads that plays in the game has this section with flashing, and it's not like it's the longest ad that you get on the game. It's like almost 2 minutes, and it's at like the 1 minute and 35 second mark. So like if you're like, oh, is it over yet? Then like, boom, boom, boom. Like I don't have epilepsy, but like it still bothers me. And like for someone who did, like that ad being on the rotation would like make that game unplayable.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to ask a question.
We can do that outside. I just want to make sure we're able
Oh,
to
yeah,
have
yeah,
as
okay.
many
I totally
folks
got
as
you.
we can. Yeah, no, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Kari. I love and hate open world games because of the tendency to do every one of the million other things that you have available to you other than actually finishing the game. And I was wondering what you think about user interface elements that might make it easier to manage that.
That's a great question.
It gets a bad rep, like the checklist system, but that helps me. Like Spider-Man 2 having that checklist system for completion, I was able to do everything because I knew where everything was. Whereas, and I love FromSoft games, but Elden Ring, the second I get into the lands between, I'm just wandering and I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going on. But honestly, like checklists are cool.
Yeah, another one that did a good job with that was the campaign in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. Witcher 3 comes to mind because like that game is just like how many question marks can you really put on a map? How many? There were so many. I'm not going to get anything done today. So not that.
I was going to talk about Starfield. I have like 400 hours in that game, and I still haven't done, like, finished it. It's like, I'll just start going, like, running away and, like, just exploring. I'm like, oh, you have to go back and do that and that, but there's really no good tools. But I love that. I love just getting lost.
Yeah. In the world.
Yeah.
That stresses me out. But that's because I can't read maps. Awesome. So this is going to be our last question. We'll be outside
Totally.
if folks want to ask questions. Also, all of our Twitter information is here. If you are someone like me who does not like to ask questions in a public setting, I'm happy to have people DM me questions. I will leave it up to our panelists if they are cool.
Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter.
Amazing. Hi.
Hi, I'm Eleanor. I just want to know what are some ways to kind of handle sort of like internalized ableism in the sense of like, why can't I beat this on hard mode and stuff? Like, what are some ways to kind of like get around that? Because I feel like I struggle a lot with like, I have to complete this like legitimately, quote unquote. And I like one game that I really enjoy the soundtrack of, but I still haven't finished proper because I'm just like, I know it has accessibility features, but like, I just keep being like, no, but then I didn't do it for real. It's Celeste. Like, I know that game has great accessibility features, but like, I'm just like, I don't want to use them. I want to do it like for real, quote unquote. And I want to kind of know how to.
That's kind of how I felt when I was playing McCat, when I was talking about that game earlier. Like, a lot of my community helped me get through it, and I didn't want to change the settings. I wanted to I know I can do this, even if it takes me forever. So when I got that, and like I listened to the soundtrack, but it was a really emotional process for me. Like, I learned a lot about myself, like, playing through that game.
I think games that allow you to explore more about yourself, whether that's through something like an RPG, which makes a lot of sense just being role-playing games, but also just understanding and learning your own boundaries and limits are extremely powerful. And with that, we are going to conclude the panel. Thank you so much to our amazing panelists for all of their insights and words. Thank you to our enforcers. Please make sure that you always thank your enforcers when you see them on the floor. They are the heart and soul of PAX. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.